Star Wars, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sound of Music. In the tradition of these great films about fighting back against the odds, 20th Century Fox presents another milestone in motion picture history. Revenge of the Nerds.
Nerds!
Nerds?
Nerds.
Nerds!
What is a nerd?
When did that project first come to you? When did you first hear about Revenge of the Nerds? How did you get the project together?
Okay, so I had done two movies. One really depressing movie called Natural Enemies. Actually, I had done a documentary called Black Rodeo, but all serious stuff. And I was the editor of Ordinary People, another serious movie.
Right.
And then I made a film called Eddie Macon's Run, another serious movie. Mm-hmm. And my career was looking like it was going to be over because I had all my movies were flops. Mm-hmm. And then a friend of mine, as happens in Hollywood, got a powerful job at 20th Century Fox. And he called me and he said, I got this job. I can probably give you a job, but we got to do it quickly because I'll probably get fired within a year, which is what usually happened to the heads of studios in those days.
Right.
So he sent me a few scripts. One was called Bachelor Party, which I read, and I thought, it's kind of silly. Mm-hmm. Then there was one called Give Me an F, which is about cheerleader camp.
Right.
It was really stupid. And then there was this thing called Revenge of the Nerds that someone had developed. And it was before Nerds was such a presence in the vernacular. Mm-hmm. People weren't thinking much about nerds. The producers had seen an article in a magazine about nerds, and they decided to make this movie. They were looking for a comedy director. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I was definitely not on the list.
Right.
Because all my films were pretty serious, and one was incredibly depressing. So my friend called me and he said, look, did you read the scripts that I sent? And I said, yeah, the only one I kind of liked was this Nerds one, but I don't know. And he said, well, the thing is the producers don't want to meet with you. They don't think you have a sense of humor from your other films. So I said, yeah, I can see that. And he said, well, I'm going to force them to have this meeting with you. So you have to fly out to L.A. I was living in New York at the time. Fly out to L.A. and meet with the guys. Mm-hmm. So I fly out and I did whatever homework I could. Because a lot of people don't know that directors have to audition just like actors.
Right.
So I got ready for my audition and I went in, spoke to these guys. And for some reason I either prepared well or we just had a good chemistry and the meeting went on for a couple of hours, which normally wouldn't. And then it was over and I flew back to New York.
Okay.
And at the time, I was teaching directing course at Columbia because that's the school that had kicked me out.
That sounds like a whole other story.
Yeah, that's another story. But I got the opportunity to teach in a school that had kicked me out. So I thought I got to do that. So I was teaching, and I had to take a day off from teaching in order to go and audition for Revenge of the Nerds, and then I flew back. Anyway, my friend calls me and says, how'd the meeting go? And I said, I think it went really well. We talked for a long time, and we seemed to see things the same way. And he said, yeah, you made one mistake. So he was obviously aware already. I said, what was that? And he said, you said Risky Business was a better movie than Animal House. And I said, well, it is. Animal House is funny, and it made a lot of money, but Risky Business is a better movie.
It's interesting. I believe I would agree with you on that. While I really find Animal House entertaining, Risky Business is an incredibly well-made film.
Right. It just is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he said, well, so what kind of a movie would you make out of this script? And I said, I'd make the best movie that I can, but I'd like it to have the qualities that Risky Business had, where the characters are real and not just cartoons, and
nice.
Where there's an actual story going on and not just jokes. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, you're not answering my question. What kind of a movie are you going to make? And now I realize I'm on a speakerphone, and probably all the people that were in the meeting are in the same room.
Oh, man.
And I say, well, I'm going to make the best version of Revenge of the Nerds that I can make without making it into, a cartoon. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay, that's closer. And I said, all right, how about this, Joe? His name was Joe. I said, I told my class when I took a day off from teaching that I was flying out to L.A. to audition for a job directing a stupid teenage comedy. He said, now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Okay.
And then he said, I want you to make a movie. Not only will it never play at the Cinema 1 and Cinema 2 in Manhattan, those were like kind of arty, intellectual theaters.
Right.
Not only will this film never play there, but you'll never be allowed in there again. I said, I'll tell you what, Joe, how about if I make a movie I'm ashamed to put my name on? And he says, you got the job.
That sounds like a very original audition process. I like that.
They've been laughed at, picked on,
There's a roommate, pal!
and put down.
I'm not kissing a nerd.
They don't have the moves or the muscle,
You know karate? No. Good.
but they've got the brains.
I know what we're gonna do.
Oddly enough, or maybe not oddly enough, everything about that movie that came together was sort of in the same vein. Bobby Carradine did not want to be in the movie. He thought it would be a stupid movie.
Interesting.
Anthony Edwards did not want to be in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis Armstrong did not want to play Booger. It was
Really?
like that. Tim Busfield did not want to play Poindexter. All along the line, because everybody thought it was just going to be a silly bunch of jokes, with no humanity and no real depth.
Yeah.
And we all just agreed, let's try to make it as real as it can be without sacrificing the jokes. And that's what we tried to do, and I guess it worked.
Now, when you were actually shooting the film, what would you say were some of the biggest challenges? I'm curious about the actual shooting of Revenge of the Nerds. How smooth did that go?
It was great, actually. I mean, one of the things about movies is that when there's no big star, it's more of a collaboration, and everybody pitches in and tries to do the best they can and shine, because there's no one outshining everyone else. When there's a star, everybody sort of fades a little bit, and so it's all about, is the star happy, and are we serving the star's needs, and it changes. So this was a more of a collaborative movie and more of a, it's an ensemble piece. Everybody has their own part to play, but it's the sum of all the parts.
Yeah.
Because we had all these talented people giving their best and being allowed to give their best, and there was a lot of freedom on the set to come up with ideas and create and not just stick to the script. And so
Nice.
I think that just developed that way.
It's time for the odd to get even.
Their action tonight demands an immediate retaliation.
How many cameras do we have left?
This should do it.
Oh, here she comes.
Go up, go up.
Oh, no.
That nerd saw me naked!
Are all nerds as good as you?
Revenge of the Nerds. Their time has come.
I drink to that.
I own the Revenge of the Nerds soundtrack as well. You got some wicked songs on there. I'm just kind of curious, how did you guys get the Michael Jackson song that's actually in the movie? It's not on the soundtrack, but I was impressed with some of the music that you got.
Yeah, well, some of the music we were specifically allowed to buy for usage in the movie, but could not be on a soundtrack, like Thriller, like the Talking Heads, whatever. And the soundtrack itself was a particular record company, and they kind of leaned on us heavily to put a couple of their artists into the score, so we had to do that. What was great is that because I guess I was working very well with the head of the studio since we were friends, he made sure we had the money to purchase the rights for Thriller and We Are the Champions and Burning Down the House. So those are normally you wouldn't be able to put those pieces in a small budget movie, but we were able to do it.
Only in the 80s. You couldn't do something like that now without spending like millions of dollars to be able to license all that. So yeah, no.
To this day, when I went to see Bohemian Rhapsody, I thought, how did they get the rights to We Are the Champions? And I said, oh, wait a minute, they made that movie. They made that song. It's them.
That's awesome. What's the strangest reaction you've ever got to when people find out that you're the director of Revenge of the Nerds?
People who don't know me well don't assume, for whatever reason, that I directed that silly movie.
Right.
And that maybe that's because I'm from New York, maybe it's because I'm older, I don't even know, but they get surprised. I have kids, they have friends who are all kind of very respectful of the fact that I directed those movies.
But of course, Revenge of the Nerds, you mentioned that's definitely probably your most famous and notorious film, I would say.
It became notorious in the Me Too generation, but before it was just sort of a famous silly movie.
Yeah, kind of a raunchy 80s film. Jeff, I want to thank you very much for joining us here on the show. I really do appreciate it. And thanks again for sharing all of these stories about your wonderful career.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. The 80s was a very unique time for teen films. There were a ton of teen movies that were coming out then, which was something that didn't hurt your career at that time, that's for sure.
It was such a lucky time to go down to LA and break in, because that's what everyone was doing, was teen movies. And I looked like a teen up until I was 30, so that worked.
Revenge of the Nerds is I thought was a very well-made film. It's a very likable film. There's very sweet parts to it, but it can be a film with a few difficult sequences in today's time as well.
I know, yes. I forgot about that. I one time picked it up, and when my kids were older, I went, "Oh, you guys can watch this," and I totally forgot about all these scenes.
Now, of course,
so they were pretty young, and I was like, "Whoops, I forgot about that." Yeah.
Now you play Anthony Edwards' girlfriend Judy in the film, and you give the film a nice, sweet heart, a bit of a sweet nature to, which is essentially a raunchy '80s comedy.
Hey, take it easy. Computer's your friend.
It wasn't meant to interface with the machine.
Well, you're just beginning. Relax.
It's no use. It's inhuman.
Oh, it's not human. Only humans can be inhuman. Here, let me show you. Working with a computer's great. I mean, it's godlike in a way. Because you can have complete control.
That's good.
Thanks. You know, some people, they can create with their hands, but when you're working with a computer, you gotta build something with your mind. If you're good, you can do something no one's ever seen before. It's a definite high. What's your name?
Judy.
Hey, Judy. Gilbert.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
It's quite a nice role and a very memorable role, and I'm sure it's one that still gets mentioned to you to this day.
That was an interesting role, because at that time, when you're cast as a love interest, and as a nerd love interest, their goal is just like, you still have to look pretty, but just a little off. So I had to really, I did not want just put on a bit of baggy clothes, and that's the nerd girl. Whereas the guys could completely, dress nerdy. And so I really wanted my hair, besides just glasses and baggy clothes, I wanted this hairdo, which the director, Jeff Kanew, did not want. They did not want that. But eventually, that was my first battle that I ever won. And
cool.
And he ended up going along with it, so that was,
Yeah, I can imagine.
I think that other female actresses must encounter that, and sometimes you don't notice it. You just kind of go along with it, and then in the end you go, oh, they had more fun than I did.
This is true. This is true. Like I say, costumes can be ever so important, especially in these types of films as well. What were some of the highlights of working on Revenge of the Nerds?
Well, I think out of all the films, that was probably the most fun.
Cool.
Because we were, I don't know where we were, what state we filmed it in, but we were there for a couple of months. It had a nice, even, had all that stuff in it, but it had a real heart to it.
Right.
And that carried through over into the cast, and I think that whole experience was great, and I would say probably a memorable moment would be hanging out at the baseball field and with Tim Busfield, who played one of the roles in there.
Right.
And he would teach me about baseball. And
cool.
So we'd learn, just hanging out and learning about what those baseball players are doing when they're scratching their bums. He was totally into baseball. Yeah, everyone had it was very warm. Nice how that transferred over. The cast would really get together a lot and really talk through the film, really. So you got a feel for the whole thing while you're working on it.
Yeah.
A lot of meeting and talking and
awesome.
Hanging out. Yeah.
Well, that sounds...
that permeates a movie, right? You get the sense.
Well, I think that's great, too. You said you had a couple of months. You guys were all kind of hanging out for a couple months. That isn't always the case on film sets. Sometimes you're only there for a short amount of time. It's not so much on location. So I guess hanging around together for that period of time, there's a real camaraderie you guys can build together.
Exactly.
Of course, Michelle Meyrink, it's been wonderful having you here on the show.
Hey, thanks so much. It was nice talking to you.